The AI. Well, good evening, everybody. Mr. and Miss America and all of the ships at sea. And I am joined by Fluno. He's back from assignment, and it is I, Dennis. And this is DJ's Classic Garage live, all capital letters with an exclamation point, because I don't know, why not? So
Why not?
we are coming up on the 250th anniversary of the United States, and it's very weird. It feels like a really weird time with this at this point. It's Anthony. Hey, Anthony. It's a really weird time right now. It's just so different because I remember 1976, and I was young, but I remember, and this is just a weird ass feeling right now. It is just
it
a
actually
weird ass
is.
feeling.
It is.
I can't even put a finger on it. It's really strange. So this is our Merica 250 DJ's Classic Garage Show, because why not? Look at this. He's watching soccer. Are you gonna watch it? All right, you can watch the replay. Oh, thanks, Autobot Al. All right, go USA, I guess. I don't know. Italy's not in it. I don't really care.
No, or Greece.
I don't care.
I gotta
Italy's
say,
not there.
I learned a lot about FIFA this last week. I gotta say, I'm not hooked, but it was definitely entertaining. Definitely entertaining.
It's 2 Diesel Larry. Cool. Yeah, so this is our 250th anniversary of Merica show. And of course, I'm going to make it completely car related because, well, this is a car channel and I do car things. So that, and also on the 4th of July, I have a special video that's dropping that I've been working on for 2 months because it was hard to do. It's Mopars at Merits, and it is I go around and there was 152 cars at this guy's house, and I go around and I actually show you all the cars, 95% of the cars that are there, and I also show all the burnouts at the end of the show. I mean, everybody leaves, and half do burnouts, and there's some incredible burnouts. So it's a fun little video. There's a little bit of music in the background. That's coming out for the 4th of July. That's gonna be fun. I also have a video out right now because parts is hard to find, and yeah, and actually I think before we even do anything else, I'm going to show you something that is insane. I did a thing on parts, and hey, Jack and Rod, you'll find this fascinating. Oh my God, the 250th stream? No, unfortunately not. It's only my 58th. So I'm going to share that this is kind of weird. And let's get this up here, see if it goes. Okay. So on my thing, I was talking about the Direct Connection catalog, which was originally Mopar Performance for a very long time. And this is the catalog online. And right now, I did in the video, the catalog right now is 19 pages. And most of the stuff is not available. This is the catalog from 2006. And as you can see, it is like 100 and something pages, and most of it's for old cars. And I mean, immediately, you could buy Hemi blocks, you could buy parts for Hemis, you could get the 340 block, you could buy heads, valve covers. All this stuff is now missing from Stellantis' catalog. There's literally nothing there. All these parts that you see here are not available there. Like the high flow oil pumps, not available. Here's the engine. They don't have any engines. These are actual. You could actually go to Chrysler Corporation and buy a complete engine. These are 440s. So yeah, you could go. You used to be able to buy stuff like that, and then you could buy a Magnum block. You can buy all this kind of neat stuff. You see how many pages this is? I mean, we're up to page 102, and it's still old car stuff. And this is very systematic of how when you have foreign ownership of your company, they don't give a rat's ass about your previous stuff. Because Ford's catalog is still enormous. Like Ford, you can go and buy anything for an old 351, 302, even the 429. You could 460. You can buy parts over the counter from Ford. And here's Stellantis taking this giant catalog that was 321 pages, and I have the entire catalog. The entire catalog is only 60 pages now, and 40 of it is for the new vehicles. So there's that. Isn't that awesome, Fluno?
Isn't it amazing that 20 or pardon for the static, be off in a minute. Isn't it amazing that '06 is 20 years ago? And
Yeah.
to me, it does not. Like when I think of '06, I think it's the future, right? And in reality, it's not. It's super like ancient. And even when we look at cars from '06 in that era,
Yep.
and I'm not knocking them, it's just to me in my mind, I don't know. When I think of 20 years, it still sounds '80s to me, right? So
It
look what
does.
has happened in that short amount of time to an incredible company. And just you flipping through that, I'm like, how could that have happened? Who let that happen? I,
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I mean. We know who did, but I'm saying how the thought process is disparaging, and it's actually very sad. It really is.
It is sad because they Stellantis is really a company that is a mess, and no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to fix it because they've alienated most of the old owners, and you're not going to get them back. It's just like the movie brands. It's like DC, it's like Marvel, it's like Star Wars, it's like Star Trek. They've alienated
Yeah.
the people that like the stuff, and there are no new people. And Stellantis is looking for a new customer that doesn't exist. There is no new customer for their garbage. As you'll see later, there is no customer for this charger. It doesn't exist.
And we talked about that how like oh well, we talked about it how everyone, if you're 19 years old, you know what a Civic is. A 19-year-old is not going to know. They might know what a PT Cruiser is through humor or history or whatever, but they introduce something now. No 19-year-old is going to be like, wow, Chrysler's back.
No. So here we go. Barracuda. And this is a good question because he's not from here. I wonder if those engines from Mopar Performance were entirely new or were they old blocks with new parts? No, they were brand new castings. Brand new castings. And you used to be able to go buy a 340 block, brand new casting. They actually made improvements in the oil flow on them. It was, I mean, it was a little expensive and I didn't have a lot of money back then. I should have bought one because it was a brand new friggin' 340. And, you could buy, and the 440s were new. The Hemis were new. I know somebody that bought a brand new Hemi when they were still selling them. And you could buy a regular one or one that's 30 over. Brand new engine. Everything was just fine, just beautifully cast right out of the box, sent you in a crate. And now you can't even buy. I don't even know if you could buy crate new, like the new engines, like the modern Hemi, which that's nice and all, but it's just not the same. It really just isn't the same. And I'm very, it's actually really sad. But Ford and General Motors, they still have stuff you can go buy. Like Ford, I know you can go buy a 302 without even any trouble. They'll ship it to you in a crate. In fact, you can buy different flavors of 302.
And I would argue, Dennis, that no one saw this coming. I mean, literally, no one saw this. Like, oh boy, I better stock up, or probably you just said buy one. You wouldn't have cared because I'll just get one when I can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not bad thinking. It's just that Ford and Chevy are still doing it. So why would all of a sudden this happen? And here we are.
Here we are. And that's actually kind of what my video is about because it's weird. You just don't realize that stuff may just stop being around. And this is flabbergasting at this point that Stellantis just is so mismanaged. They they keep on striving to try to get these customers. And I see a couple channels that are pay for play. They basically get paid an access. I could tell, and it's kind of sad that you ruin your reputation for this company. This is like ruining your reputation for Marvel, ruining your reputation for DC Comics, because this is not worth ruining your reputation over. No one cares about them bringing a Hemi back. No one cares. Literally, no one cares. And his videos have 12,000 views, which tells me no one freaking cares. He has 100,000 subscribers. You get 12,000 views. That no one cares. I've done videos on the new Charger. No one cares. Literally, no one cares. And so it is. This is sad. I mean, this is really. And it kind of hurts because, especially when we're going through our list a little later, you're going to see how great and innovative all the companies were, and how they did things that were just like, wow, like holy mackerel! They actually developed this and had a better idea and threw it out there, and now it's just like, yeah, that's where we are. Actually, I'm gonna let me do something first, because I saw this, and I might as well talk about it now. And let me remove you, put you in there. Let's come on, work.
Just rip that Band-Aid off.
All right, so this is a new thing from Most Reliable Car Brands, according to JD Power. Now, the who's number one doesn't matter at this point. Okay, it doesn't matter. JD Power said cars are progressively getting worse. They are actually the worst they have ever been. Cars actually have average 204 problems per 100 vehicles. That is unreal. They had gotten to the point where around the early teens, that cars barely had problems. I mean, they really were perfecting cars. Now cars are basically garbage. Even Lexus has 151 problems per 100 cars. Lexus. Think of that for a second. Lexus. But strangely enough, Mini is third best. Don't know how. I mean, the companies that are not on this list are Dodge and Chrysler. I don't know, because they didn't have enough sample size, or they're so poorly made they're not on here. But that is literally what we're looking at. I mean, Jeep is down there toward the bottom because, well, 267 problems, and then their new partner Land Rover is there right below them. Because why not? And Volvo is no longer any good because they're owned by a Chinese company. They're Chinesium. So that was just depressing to see that how bad the new cars are. And this is why you should be really hesitant to buy a new car, because there's so many problems with them, and it just doesn't make any sense. All right, so let's start on the news here, because we got a few things before we get to the fun stuff. I actually have First Brands news. I know. So First Brands executive released from home confinement. Now, don't feel too bad for them. They live in mansions. This isn't like they were stuck in a 1,500 square foot house. They live in mansions because they bought that with the money they stole. Both James brothers, the former executives of beleaguered First Brands Group, have been released from home confinement. Edward James, former executive, and his CEO brother Patrick James were released from home confinement by a judge, Annalisa Torres, on Tuesday. Edward and Patrick James were indicted in January for, well, doing very bad things. As alleged in the indictment, Patrick James, together with his brother Edward James, perpetuated a staggering fraud in First Brands Group, says attorney John Clayton, the prosecutor in the case. The James brothers obtained billions for First Brands, with millions for themselves, by presenting their lenders with an impression of a successful, growing international business. Edward James was arraigned February 4th and released on $25 million bond. That means he had to cough up $2.5 million. Think of that for a second. He coughed up $2.5 million so he wouldn't be rotting in jail. So now he has his travel is now restricted to southern and eastern districts of New York and the northern district of Ohio. He could not travel by air except for court appearances as approved by a pretrial service on the court, nor could he contact identified victims or witnesses except in the presence of counsel, possess firearms or destructive devices, or any new financial accounts, or change his residence without approval. Mr. James has fully complied with these requirements, as well as other conditions imposed in the court and the pretrial services. A June 18th letter from the attorney Seth Ducharme said, Ducharme also said pretrial services do not object to release if it is replaced with a curfew, travel restrictions, and enhanced telephone location monitoring to check in. So I love this. Mr. James is neither a flight risk. Really? Dude, you're on charges for stealing billions of dollars. I don't know how you don't think he's a flight risk. Nor a danger to the community. And a history of characteristics weigh heavily in favor of curfew, Ducharme says. Further, Mr. James strictly adherence to all conditions imposed by the court and pretrial service the last 4 months, and not objected by the government and pretrial services to a curfew. Good Lord. This guy is going to absolutely, hey, Sue, how you doing? This guy is actually going to have more freedom than somebody like in Great Britain. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous. So, Ohio also bears profound personal significance. The resting place of Mr. James' late son. Mr. James also an active member of his parish community where he regularly attends church services. Of course he does. Of course he is. Jesus. Oh, man. So Patrick James on a $50 million bond. Good Lord. So these two guys are basically waiting for their trial, which is coming up soon. Not soon enough. So there's the update on the two alleged thieves. And yeah. Oops, where did I go? Okay. Go ahead.
How old are they, Dennis? I'm just curious.
They're like, I think they're like in their late 40s, early 50s. Not that old. They're not that old.
You know, whenever I think of a problem in life, and boy, I like to have a few million bucks, I think of this and I say, it's just not worth it. And not only that, they screwed so many people over. That would be the thing. It's one thing if I lost, like, well, I tried it, I lost it, still got the house, and I've been there, done that, right? We've had all some financial errors in judgment, but not hurting anyone else in doing so, just sitting back. And I'm like, again, another sad story. And just, I don't know how I sleep at night. I really don't. Like I said, if you lost your own millions, well, that was just a bad move. But this is just really unfortunate. And I sit back and say, I thank God for our freedom here, literally not having that stressor over my head.
The thing is, you have to have no conscience to do that type of crime. I mean, that is a crime. That is a crime you have to have no conscience to do, because you're literally robbing from other people. And I mean, all these banks and stuff, they basically robbed all the money. And I mean, that's what the allegations are. These banks have giant losses, and they haven't realized the losses yet. And I'm very, I just don't know. I think the government's playing a little too fast and loose with these two, because I mean, they're still very wealthy, and somebody very wealthy is a flight risk. I mean, they have the money to go someplace where they could not be found, and I think they're of Indian descent. I mean, if they still have family there, hell, you can disappear there. I mean, seriously, you can completely disappear in that place. So I don't know. They're playing way too fast and loose with this, and I'm not very excited about the way the government's handling this. So the other great news I have from First Brands, it's actually good news, and it's pieces are starting to come together, but it's taking forever, just like I figured it would. Motor Car Parts of America acquires Centric brake brands. So Centric got bought. Ray Bestis still isn't bought by anybody, which is terrifying to think about. So now Stop Tech would be made again, Posi Quiet and C Tech. Stop Tech was a big manufacturer for classic cars, America, because they made upgraded front rotors for my car, Stop Tech, and I think I have Stop Tech on my truck. They're not bad, and so they got sold, and taking up. Let's see. So Motor Parts of America has acquired Centric, taking a portfolio. The industry report estimates generates gross sales as $400 million at the supplier level. Wow. It's Canada Day. A. Remanufactured. So wait, how much did they buy it for? So let's see. They got Centric, Posi Quiet, Stop Tech, C Tech, GCX. Section 363 sale. So open under the Section 363 of bankruptcy code to market First Brand's assets. The transaction was structured without assuming operational liabilities, and certain assets were transferred free of all liens claimed. Oh my God. Wow. So basically they got this stuff without any encumbrances. So whatever, how much did they pay? There is absolutely no dollar amount, but they were able to buy it without having to have any of the liabilities or anything. So they got nothing is, there's no liens on anything, but at least that means there's going to be some more brake parts being made. This is good stuff, I guess. So that there's something that happened with First Brands. Of course, I had to go find it at the Brake Report, not CNN, not ABC News, not Fox News, not even like, the Tallahassee Democrat. I found it on the Brake Report because this is where this news is.
And what was the other one from? Is it the other source that we've also discussed before?
Yes,
yes.
Trucks, Parts, and Service. Yes.
Amazing.
Trucks, Part, and Service, because everything. This is literally this is one of those main. I mean, everybody talks about news sources, and they go CNN, Fox, Trucks, Parts, and Services. I mean, that's literally,
They're known for their financial,
oh yeah,
deep dives.
Like, they're like Bloomberg.
Fox Business. Yeah.
So I actually did a dive on this motor parts company, and it looks like they're head. All right, let me pull this up. They're headquartered in let me share this tab. They're headquartered in Tennessee, Nashville. They have stuff in California. They manufacture in Mexico, which is fine. Alternators are made in Malaysia. That's okay. Starters are made in Malaysia. China. Managed components. So there's some of the components, small components, come from China. And then Singapore, they have logistics. So it's not terrible. And now they're going to get some American-made stuff because Centric was made in the United States. So that's kind of good. So this isn't bad. I mean, this is actually a decent company. So it's at least something good. And hopefully we'll start having brake parts coming out by the end of the year, maybe. I mean, that's the earliest I would ever think we'd get something from this company. So, yay, good news for once from friggin' First Brands. You know what I haven't seen yet? I haven't seen friggin' Tony Imperial. I have not seen him. There's Horatius who always brings it, but I do not see Tony Imperial. Let's see. Because he actually sent me some really cool pictures last week, and I'm just gonna I guess we'll just tickle your ass with a feather on this. So come on, play with me here. There you go. This is his 71 Monster. He showed like, damn. Look how big. I mean, he has some. That's some big garage to make that car. That car's 20 foot long.
Absolutely, it's longer than my Lincoln.
That's a big ass car. I love these cars though. Remember, this is the first car to have anti-lock brakes. So Merica, they had the first car to have anti-lock brakes. That one right there. I don't think his has. It was a really rare option because it was pretty expensive, of course, because well, it was 1971 and it was a new technology. But yeah, he sent over a bunch of neat pictures, and let's see if I can find then
Well, when he pops on, we can throw him up there.
I know.
I'm looking forward to this.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be really cool stuff. So oh my god, and of course, yes, to do that is a boat. That is literally a highway cruiser. That is what that. Let's see. Yes, anti-lock brakes have saved more lives than any other mod. Yes, they definitely save more than friggin' airbags. Airbags, I really doubt their efficiency, especially the ones that are front facing, because that really no. But anti-lock, you avoid the accident, which is something. If you drive a car pre anti-lock brake, you realize how much it helps. It helps a lot, especially when it's wet out, because my Charger is absolutely terrifying in the rain, because that ass end will absolutely get light, and it will do some weird things. Yeah, so that's. But so another thing, good thing. There's a lot of good things this week. There's good things this week because this happened. We had, if we get this pop bear, we actually had the president actually signed an executive order that actually is good, trying to make sure that we actually had the right to repair. It's only a step, but honest to God, yes, I know we want to go to the full story, but because they're going to try to charge me. But this is actually good because the General Motors and Ford were going there trying to lobby to make it so that they would not have any bills, because there is a bill for right to repair, and I guess this is like a stopgap to be able to have the ability to repair. And they're doing it under the guise of affordability, but it is affordability because car dealerships now charge $300 an hour in my area. A Ford dealership, $300 an hour. And this is something positive, because at least now, we have politicians actually kind of going, okay, good. We're kind of moving along. It's kind of nice. So hopefully we'll have actual legislation to force the OEMs to actually release their data, because BMW did a real dirtbag move. BMW used to have, there was a company that used to have all their service manuals for 30-year-old cars online, and BMW did a cease and desist on them. And these manuals, these are cars they don't work on anymore, but they cease and desisted them. And this is horrible. It's horrible because to be able to work on those cars, they're still good cars. That would make working on them a lot easier. So there's that. And hey, I see Vintage came in. Good.
I want to say, Dennis, that a couple things. One, it's sad. There's my word of the day, it seems. It's sad and unfortunate that in the land of the free, we literally had to have an executive order to say you have a right to work on your own car, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is a very interesting conversation not to have now, but everyone always argues, free market. This is where government actually can make actually be okay. Is that necessary evil, but a necessary good, where they have to step in and kind of control that nonsense of, well, it's a free market, let the companies do what they want. No, they can't, because they're now trying to stop the free market of individuals to work on their own car. And I know it's a lot of word salad there, but I don't know. Again, I find it troubling that this is where we're at again with this, because who even thinks about this? Like I can't comprehend it. I really am not computing right now. And
No.
I don't want to hear an argument of like, well, let companies do what they want to do. That's the free. No, it's not. That is like a very Teddy Roosevelt kind of thing. Like, nah, you're not people. You're a corporation. Two different things. And I'm glad this has happened, unfortunately.
So, but Mike, I learned this very long time ago. You can't have monopolies or oligopolies without government,
That's
because
true.
because the corporations use the legal system to basically force other companies or people not to be able to do things. Because if they didn't have government, they couldn't do that cease and desist and keep you from getting access to information, because the information would be there and they can't stop you. And
Right.
it's a really bad thing. I'm very much a government is there basically to make sure we have a fire department and some police. That's about it. I don't think
True.
that they should
True.
be doing anything else. But this just shows what happens when they start abusing the law and make it impossible to fix a
Right.
car. And
Exactly.
this is really a bad thing that could be hoisted upon us, because it isn't just you and I working on our cars. It's that shop down the street from you that works on they can't get access to
Oh, that's what
data
I'm
to
really
work on
thinking
cars.
of. I was thinking more of the
But
collective of shop owners. Right.
but individuals, because I do a lot of my own work. And if you don't have any access to information, there's some things you can't do on cars. If you
Mhm.
don't know, how something is the spec on something, or torque spec, or any type of reading spec, anything, you can't fix it. Like, I'm going through this with the E36 convertible. I can't find the actual setup for the arms and stuff that make the top move. I'm basically guessing on how to do it, to do a whole type of to make the whole thing work in sync. And there is no information out there on what's the standard of them and where they should be, to make the two parts move in perfect synchronized thing.
And then we touch on, not to go off the rails, but borderline greed, where how many 30-year-old, and I think it's wonderful we have these cars, are they really getting this much business from a 30-year-old BMW? I mean,
No, they're
that's
not.
where it becomes so petty.
No,
It's like it's
they
so
don't.
greedy.
Yeah. Here we go. Barry Cuda found out yesterday that I need a replacement airbag for my 2004 Holden Commodore. Oh dear, there are none available. I have to find a used steering wheel. My base model only has one. Wow. See, this is the stupidity of airbags, because you probably part of the Takata recall, which is it's so bad. I mean, it's really wow. That is awful. Let's see. I really wow. But that is just, see, but that's some technology now, and technically in the United States, or probably in your country too, that you can't sell that car because there's an open recall that's not repaired. I actually have an open recall on my truck right now. I could not sell it, and there's no repair from Ford. Still no repair. I'm waiting for the repair. So it's not great. But yeah, so basically, uh I'm trying to wait, Sue. All right, Sue. What are you talking about, Sue? I get distracted by the chat. I'm very distracted by Sue. Are you high on Robitussin or something? I saw you a little sick. So what's going on? What am I missing here? Uh I have no idea. Let's see. Yes. Okay. She's high. Okay, great. So there we go. The chat making it interesting as usual. So, hey, Fluno, do you know what time of the show it is? Do you know what time of the show it is?
I'm going to guess it is time for the Charger tally.
You know,
Am I close?
you know what? I think you're right. And here it
It's
is.
that time.
Oh, another installment of the of the useless. Uh, so let us take a look at the unsellable car and see how it's doing. This is last week, and the numbers are all over the place, and I love every part of this. So there are 11,893 available. That means the ones in shipping, because you manufacture and they're supposed to be on trains and trucks going out to dealerships. But there was 11,693 at dealerships. So there's only 200 on trains and trucks going around the United States, which is very, very bad. So let's take a look at this week, because why not? So this week, the number's been all over the place. I pulled this in the middle of the afternoon, and they said they sold, I calculated out, they sold 233 Chargers in a week in the entire United States. That tracks out to be 10,000 cars, a little over 10,000 cars a year. Congratulations. So all those channels out there talking about, Hellcat, this car ain't gonna be around in 2 years. It's not selling. I don't know how you keep a car on life support. And the 27s are coming out, and we're going to talk about that in a second. They're coming out in September. They're stopping production at the end of this month. So they're not going to sell 10,000 of these cars for 2026. They're going to be an unintentional rare car. It's going to be an unintentional collectible, like the Jaguar estate wagon, the X-Types estate wagon. That became an unintentional collectible car because they couldn't sell them. So this car is DOA, and I just can't. I mean, the thing is, I'm going to show you this. I went on and I looked at something. I looked up how much is a Durango with a V8 in it. Because a Durango with a V8 is actually a kind of useful vehicle. And I know I pulled the picture. Where the hell? Oh, here it is. So here it is. Durango with a V8. Well, this is the cheapest Durango you get under 40 grand. But this is how a good selling vehicle goes. See, there's 3,000 different between, because they're trying to keep their inventory up. So they have 3,000. They're selling a bunch of these a month, because they are. I know they sell about 60,000 Durangos a year, and they're probably going to sell about that many this year, maybe more. And the thing is, your cheapest Durango with the V6 is under 40 grand. Once you negotiate down, you get under 40. The V8 is $42,000. That is $10,000 cheaper than the Charger.
That's not bad.
No,
not bad.
No, this is a great deal. It's a proven vehicle. I wouldn't get it with the V6 because that's the Pentastar 6, and that is not a good engine by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, but vintage. My local Dodge has plenty of new Chargers available. I bet they do. They're sitting there with lot rot. If go make them a deal they can't refuse, because they have to in a month they have to move them. Right, Faluna? When September comes around,
well, then it starts really going. Like I said, it all starts with the curtailments of when you're paying. Usually, if it's not paid off within, I don't know, everyone's different. The floor planning is different everywhere, but like 120 days, like maybe 180 at the max. I mean, that's 6 months almost. But the point is you want that done within the first 30. Usually, the first 30 days is kind of free. And then you start paying the interest with some of the principal. And if it's not done by a certain amount, you cut the check. You own it. So,
and they're going to be caught. And then they're going to have a 1-year-old car that you can't get full retail at that price of a 1-year-old car. The full retail is no longer on the table. That's gone.
The old days rebates were nothing more than basically them buying out your depreciation for you. Mm-hmm. That's what rebates historically are. Is got to get them out of here because we're not really losing money, but we got to pay this off. Obviously, if it's obviously not paid off by the dealership, and say used cars, it doesn't matter. They own it flat out. So now they can floor plan those too, but that's a whole other side over here. And that money goes to the dealership itself, not so that's why with rebates, the company, Ford, Dodge, whoever, they're paying the dealership to help them because they want their money. Okay.
Yep.
Used cars, hey, that's y'all's money. So yeah, when a car becomes like at year-end clearance, because we're moving to the new one, they're going to start slapping a lot of deals. I remember back at 20 years ago, there were some 06 F-150s. They were pushing like $8,000 rebates just to move. And let me tell you, I was selling them, brand new vehicles, a lot cheaper, look like an 07. Get them out of here. That's how it used to roll because that money's already integrated. It's not like, oh, they just lost $8,000. No. But they know we're pushing it. And of course, then they cut a check to the dealership to thank you for selling so many, yada, yada, yada. Those days are way long gone.
Exactly. So, I mean, and the thing is, though, those weren't brand new. 2006 F-150s wasn't the first year. That was
right.
Yeah, it was a couple years down the line. This is the first year production of this car, and no one has any interest in it. Which is
meanwhile, the 05 Mustang, they couldn't keep it on the lot, and they were and they weren't jacking up the price either. It was just moving metal, but they were literally rolling off. And I remember even in 06 when I started selling cars, they'd be coming off the tram or the truck, and people were there literally looking at them, like ready to go. Not here. No.
There's and that's scary when you have a brand new launch and there's no interest in the car. It means because it doesn't get it's like a movie. A movie has a big first weekend because the people that want to go see it, and that's how you gauge popularity. And then over time, even a very popular movie will start going down over time, and that's what any cycle with anything. Cars are the same way. That first year should be that's going to be your best. And this is
and here's a sad, true story. And I witnessed this long before I was selling cars. 2001, I forgot what year it came out. PT Cruiser, right? And just hear me out. The dealership right down the road where I showed you the appliances sitting there, all those pictures, same place. My dad and I went because we wanted to see this retro, cute little car. We went there. It was our first one on the lot. You would have thought it was a red carpet affair. I am not joking. People were actually like bidding, like offer. And even as a 25-year-old, and I knew, of course, what the car was and this and that. My dad thought it was kind of cool, 40s looking. And it's like they were jacking up. But I am not exaggerating. There must have been close to 100 people just looking at this thing and how, ooh. And again, I mean, it is what it is, but how exciting for that. But yet that ain't happening with this. No. And I still think it's a pretty sharp car, my opinion.
Right.
And it's, again, another sad moment for Fluno tonight. I think if it was $35,000, I had to say it, and it was better built. You're looking at someone.
Well, yeah, I mean, those are two caveats. Those are two caveats that are not going to happen with a Stellantis product.
I know, but I'm just saying, what a shame. Because, like I said, a lot of people might say this is badass sharp, and I'm not paying that price for this crap. So, but that's the difference. A PT Cruiser brought when it arrived.
Yep.
People like it was an affair.
Any new car, any new release car will have this level of excitement, except for this because no one cares. And so here, this all right, Sky Spectre. Dennis told a few weeks ago there'd be a 4-door Camaro. I think it was actually, General Motors is going to make a 2 and a 4-door because they need to have a car in the Chevy lineup. They don't have a car anymore, and they need one. And it's just the easiest way to do it. It's going to be sharing the Cadillac and the Buick. They're going to share the same underpinnings, which is smart, but they're going to be different. But they're going to be rear-wheel drive cars. So I don't care if it has 4 doors, as long as it has gas under the hood and power goes out the back. Good enough for me. So that actually is going to happen. And that probably will be successful. There probably will be the 2-door will probably outsell the 4. But then again, the 4-door doesn't look bad. They may sell a lot of those because it's useful.
Well, like the T-Bird back in the 60s, that was actually a fairly popular idea to have a 4-door Thunderbird. Personally, if it was me, I just would have brought back the Impala nameplate again. It was a good selling
I know.
car. Everyone knows the name. Or Malibu. You know, Malibu was actually a really decent mid-sized car.
The look, we don't really know anything yet. It's just it's like 2 years away. I think it's a 28, but I don't know much. But it's gonna be similar size to the CTS 5 Cadillac. So it's gonna be kind of in that vein. So we'll see. We will see. The thing is, at least it's a gas-powered car, not an electric appliance. General Motors is done with electric appliances. They really are. I mean, I'm shocked, but they learned the lesson. Ford hasn't. Ford's still running around trying to think they can make a $20,000 electric appliance. I'm not in line to buy one. Don't worry. It's fine. I need a real vehicle. I bought a lawnmower over the weekend, and I was able to put it in the bed of my real pickup truck and drive it home, and then unload it from my real pickup truck and put it in my backyard. I can't do that with an electric appliance pickup truck because I had to drive 40 miles to go get it and 40 miles back. No. Yeah, an Impala, and the Impala should be the name. It shouldn't be a Camaro. It should be an Impala. Just like the 4-door Charger should be a Coronet. There's no such thing as a 4-door Charger. Real Chargers are 2 doors. So, I mean, that's this thing. So, speaking of Stellantis, we might as well. Fluna brought this to my attention, and Jesus wept. I'm, my God. So, I did a video. Me personally did a video on the 60th anniversary of the Charger earlier this year on how the name happened. I'm glad that Stellantis figured out that the 2027 is somehow 60 years from 1966. I don't know how they do their math. It must be European math. I am confused over this. I am lost. How do you have a 60th anniversary on the 61st year? Tell me.
And I told you earlier, I'm not a mathematician, and I figured that out very quickly.
With the Dodge Charger's 60th anniversary upon us, actually, it's pretty much past us now.
Right.
January was the 60th anniversary. Carlisle's having their show this year. Next week is the 60th anniversary of the Charger at Carlisle. Yes, 20-cent motor. In Europe, 2 + 2 = 5. I'm guessing so. Socialist math. Yeah, I guess so. This was the Dodge clearly thought it was the perfect time to celebrate with a high-impact color the year after it was 60 years old. So they're introducing a color that never existed before called Purple Haze. Because why would you actually release Plum Crazy, which is actually a historic color? No, let's release a new color that no one knows. This is a fail on so many levels.
Wasn't there a purple craze back in the day on something no?
It was Plum Crazy. Plum Crazy and Mulan. Plum Crazy and oh my God, I can't remember the Plymouth color. Because Moulin Rouge is pink. No, Moulin Rouge is pink. That was Panther Pink was Moulin Rouge. It was oh my God. Christ. So yeah, so they're gonna have
what Go Main Go, right? Wasn't there
Mango was orange? Go? Yeah, that was also vitamin C. And oh my God, oh my God. I'm having a senior moment right on the air. Plymouth.
That's usually reserved for group message.
Yeah, no kidding. In Violet. How did I forget that? In Violet. God, I feel really dumb. No, In Violet is the Plymouth color because they had to have their own names. Oh yeah, but yeah. So this is insane, insanely pathetic. And look, it has these stupid stripes on it. Which, why? That's a Ford thing. Stripes over the middle of a car is a Ford thing. That is not a Chrysler thing at all.
I never liked them. And there's stickers, which is give it a couple years in Florida.
Stickers,
and they'll be coming off.
It cost $800 to get this with the stupid stickers on it. And it gives you Fratzog dual stripes. Jesus wept. You could have a satin black hood, and they weren't satin black. They were flat black. They were not satin. Oh dear Lord. And it's going to be on display at Carlisle. Oh darn, I won't be there to spit on it. I mean, look at it. This is insane. 61 years. Congratulations. I'm going to save this and make a post later on X. I can't wait. This is embarrassing. It's utterly embarrassing. Hello. So, yeah, so there's Stellantis really, really digging in deep with the history of Chrysler. I mean, wow. Just wow. That's like basically, next year doing the 250th anniversary of Merica. We'll do it in 2027 because it's 250 years. All right, satin. All right. Satin paint. Satin is kind of it has lower gloss to it. It looks like satin material. But the old the 446 packs and the TA cars had Argosol hoods, which weren't satin. They were kind of a really flat black. And the thing about them, they were impossible to keep clean because if you use a cleaning thing, you'd get fibers all in it, and it was just kind of nasty. So you'd have to use a lint roller to clean it. It's just not. It's a way to make it kind of give it a little bit of a look. Some cars like BMW has satin stuff, like on their on some of the performance models they use a satin treatment. It's just not glossy. It's kind of a flatter black, but not flat. It has a little bit of shine to it.
Yeah, they use that incorrectly. Like the Mercedes GT, it's flat. It's not. It's a satin because if it was flat, like you just said, like the old hot rods would do for cheapness, like a primer black. No, it definitely has, like you just said, it has to really get cleaned properly. So
yeah,
it looks flat, but it's not.
Yeah, textured. Yeah, the Argosol was like textured. And satin is kind of not textured. It's just kind of not super shiny. It's kind of like just it has a low gloss to it. But I mean, but yeah, the Argosol was absolutely it's cool looking. It's great, but good Lord. Yeah, not. I see people are talking about heat in the chat. Dude, it hit 100 at my house in the last week. Please. And today I went outside and worked on my lawnmower for a few minutes. It was 94. Humidity was 70%. I literally I was out for 15 minutes, had to come in and shower. All right. It was that bad. So let's not talk about heat. Yes, it's a wet heat. Yeah, it's literally, it's gross. It's gross. I can't. I don't know how Fluno sits outside. It's not nice out.
Well, right now, I got fans going. It's actually very pleasant, and the humidity is not super high. It's not baking. It's actually I'm not joking. It's actually comfortable. And it's funny, I was saying last year around my birthday, it was like 82 and breezy, and I couldn't believe how nice late June was. This year, not so much. But like I told you earlier, not to get off, but no, there's definitely stagnation, aka mixed with laziness on car and yard work going on, and I'm admitting to that. It's very brutal.
Okay, GCan, I can see 119 is bad there. I was at 126. I was at 126 earlier this week. Deadly outside. But that is deadly because you guys don't have air conditioning, not like America. See, the Europeans learn Merica. We have air conditioning everywhere, and they want air conditioning now in those northern European countries. Italy has air conditioning because they know it's hot and they don't like being that hot. But Germany, France especially, England, they think it's like a thing for rich people.
Well, I'll interject. Last Wednesday being in Miami, which was very oppressive.
That's the tropics.
The Scots loved our state, but everyone I talked to was like, "How do you live in this?" I mean, that's the only complaint. They're like, "What is this? I'm like, hey, I'm from here. Let me tell you, they had like bags of clothing with them while drinking. I mean, it was a wonderful time. But the point is they were like, oh, hold our booth. We got to go change.
Jesus.
God. Yeah, that was the only thing they're like very confused about. Like, we love this, but we've never experienced this.
No, this is Scott's. I'm surprised they didn't catch fire. But, because those the redheads in this sun, that's not good. Well, the way you're making it sound, G Canada, is like there's no air conditioning up there. Don't complain then. You can go inside like I do. I have air conditioning in my garage. So there's that. I had it to a nice chilly 78 in there today. The only way I could work in there. I can't anymore. I just can't anymore outside. I can't. So there's that. So okay. Let us go celebrate Merica with I pulled the list from a History Channel to kind of get us rolling here. It's 24 cars. 24 cars that made America. Now, some of them I see, some of them like, but I went and I pulled like 10 other cars. And hey, if you anybody want to throw in anything, that'd be fine. I know Fluto may throw something in. But this has been very interesting. Wow. Wait. Landscapers come at 5 a.m. Well, it's daylight, isn't it? You're so freaking far north. So Jesus. Wow. Central. Oh man. So this is a little list now. The History Channel is pretty good because they do a nice little thing on it, and they actually went deep diving, as they say. So without further ado, what we'll do is here is the little bit of a list. Now, the thing is, they don't have pictures of all the cars, which is really sucky. So the first one is one that nobody knows, but I've seen one of these. The Oldsmobile Model R. Basically, this is the first car. And I will show you what this looks like since they don't have a picture here.
That's the curved dash? Understand.
What? The curved
dash.
Is
that the curved dash?
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. I got to pull my pictures. I have pictures. Oh, here it's in the thumbnail. Actually, here it is. This is it. This is a 19. It's like from built in 1901, I guess. Oldsmobile was the oldest car company. That's why them going out of business was an absolute crime. That was a crime. They were America's first real car company. So they built 425 of these. And they were $650 in 1901. And that's a lot of money. I mean, a house is probably $2,000. So, and it had a 2-speed planetary transmission, chain drive. It was made for the crappy roads of the day because, I mean, back then stuff was still horses. I mean, so this had to go on horseback. And it had a song in 1904 called "In My Merry Oldsmobile," and I love these 1904 songs. They're so catchy. Come away with me, Lucille, in my merry Oldsmobile. Down the road of life we fly. Automobiling, you and I. There we go. Isn't that great?
Hey, let me tell you. They were already, look at that. The pop culture was already grasping the automotive, like years later, pick you up in my 88, which was another Oldsmobile. So here's 2 neat facts real quick, Dennis, you might know.
Yes.
A town near Tampa, what is it called? Oldsmar.
Oldsmar.
Why was that? That's because of him. Here's another one. REO, Random E Oldsmobile. I believe he had to actually start another company because of copyright rules or some buyout or something, if I'm correct, right?
Right. And you know what's so funny? Last week we did a story on REO actually reformed, and they want to make key cars in America.
Oh,
for under neat. $30,000, under $30,000, and they're making little trucks and SUVs, and I'm like, yes,
love it.
Let's see. Sky Spectre, house is 1868. This is I stayed in an apartment that was older than that in Italy. Literally, the building was built around the turn of the 18th century. That's when it was built. It's in Palermo. So I know American seems old until you go to Europe and go, this ain't so old. So let's get back to this. So let me get this back to stage. Okay. So the number 2 is the Buick Model 10. So this basically, Bill Durant, went on a buying spree. He got Buick because they were an independent company. And the thing is, it's called the White Streak because I think the big popular color with them was white because Henry Ford only painted his cars in
black.
Yes.
Any
why?
color you like.
As long as it was black.
Right.
And so the thing is, the Buick also is another company that is just a big part of America. So they came out in 1908 when they got brought into the fold of General Motors, and they came out with the Model 10, and they painted it white with a snappy brass trim, and it was the most popular model. I mean, that kind of back then that stood out like anything to have a bright white car. And this actually has vulcanized tires on it. This is later, from the 50s, because the original tires are white because the rubber wasn't vulcanized, didn't have carbon in it, and they were soft. But it didn't matter because you were riding on dirt roads anyway. There were no real roads. I don't think the real roads came until like the teens. And that was in big cities. Like New York City started having real roads and stuff, like in the teens, I think. The 4-cylinder Model 10 and every Buick since was overhead valve cylinder head. So Buick had overhead valves. Now remember, Ford did not have overhead valves until they came out with their modern V8 because everything was a flathead for them. It was side valves. All Model 10s are marketed as vehicle for men with real red blood who don't like to eat dust. This is car advertising. Real men. Arrived on the scene just before Henry Ford's Model T splashed onto the market. The Model 10 didn't take off in the same way. Production ended when Buick realized it could build on its reputation and its efficient valve and head engine to sell more expensive cars. So that's when Buick moved up market. Model T. Everybody knows the Model T. This thing ran for 20 years. This car was built. Henry Ford could not change at all. This man was stuck with the one design. He was stuck with this. He was basically married to this car. And that's where we get the term Tin Lizzie is from the Model T because, well, no ton of tin. It got down to $260 in 1925. Well, the price actually went down on this car over time because cars got cheaper. Simplicity, performance, reliability. Those are magic baked in ingredients into Henry Ford's wildly successful Model T, a technical and commercial triumph that not only democratized driving for masses, but in doing so helped transform America's landscape and culture. Farms were no longer dramatically isolated from one another. Street paving accelerated and building a nation's vast network of roadways began in earnest. Street lights, road signs, and a whole new array of roadside businesses sprouted, including now ubiquitous gas stations. How did they do that? Volume. Yes, exactly right. He lost $5 every car, but how did he stay in business? Volume. No, he made money on these cars. He was good at that. Ford also revolutionized industrial large-scale assembly line production, which helped speed manufacturing and push prices down. It started at $850 in 1908, less than $325. So, I mean, that really came. It really got cheaper as it went along, which is amazing. GM CEO Billy Durant was known as the consummate salesman because he was. Henry Ford made his name as a visionary, roll-up-your-sleeves engineer. He designed the Model T as a workhorse car, building it with light, affordable vanadium steel that offered rugged durability and supple suspension that stood up to the era's pothole wagon roads. A whole 20 horsepower, which propelled the car up to 40 to 45 miles an hour, which, if you knew the braking system in that car, That's freaking scary fast. They actually had mechanical brakes that had long rods that were not heat treated. And so basically they could brake on you. And so did the axles. The axles weren't heat treated either. And so they would brake too. Yeah. So then it did have its quirk. It had a 10-gallon fuel tank under the front seat, and fuel was gravity fed to the engine. No fuel pump. Like a lawnmower. Because of that, the reality that reverse gear offered more power than forward gears, owners would often be seen driving up steep hills backwards. Jesus. There was Henry Ford's decision to offer Model Ts in any color as long as it was black. Ever practical with an eye on production efficiency, he realized that pigmented paints used in the Model T's early years, red, green, gray, and blue, required multiple coats with time between coats to dry and sand. Vast storage areas filled with bodies being painted, costing the company both time and money. Black cured would much quickly and became a standard and the only color from 14 to 26. And then production jumped by 2/3 in 15. Ford didn't have hydraulic brakes to 39. Yeah, and those. My grandfather told me about those early mechanical brakes. Oh my God, they're absolutely terrifying. I mean, literally, you're all you're doing is you're pushing on the pedal, and it just takes the rod, and it actually is moving the drum. They move them out physically, so it's only as hard as you can push is how much brake you actually had. No assist. So 45 miles an hour is terrifying in that car because you're not stopping. Jesus. The assembly line's repetitive tests proved unattractive at a wage of $225 per 9-hour workday. Worker turnover killed productivity. Sometimes workers just walked away from their stations. Ford's solution was innovative. He raised the wage to $5 a day and cut the workday to 8 hours. One day after it was announced, the crowd estimated that 10,000 people showed up at the Ford plant for a $5 a day employment. See, that's how you solve problems, through innovation. Ford completely dominated the $300 car market. Yes. Let's see. Oh, wait, here we go. Barracuda. What's this? The 64 Lincoln is very cool. Yes. I love the 64 Fairlane, especially the Thunderbolt. Yes. Thunderbolts are cool. A real race Thunderbolt is an absolutely cool car. The teardrop hood, cool car. So here we go. My favorite, the Dodge brothers, who were sacrileged with the launch of the new Charger when it was electric. They had John and Horace Dodge, it being AI created, all excited over this new electric appliance Charger. And yeah, no. So the Dodge brothers Model 30. Now the Dodge was actually making money, making engines, for Henry Ford, and then they had a little bit of a fallout, and then they created their own company because they were the best engine builders in America by far. They made the best engines, and so then they decided their own car company, and what happened, they unfortunately they passed away before they could actually go and make anything bigger. They were a crucial element for Ford's success, but they weren't impressed with the Model T. John Dodge quoting, "Someday people who own a Ford are going to want an automobile." I love that. The Model 30 was the Dodge brothers' idea of what an economical automobile should be. Built a durable car with more power and standard features than the Model T. 35 horsepower, 212 cubic inch four-cylinder, 3-speed sliding gear transmission, fully equipped factory folding top, electric lighting, leather upholstery, electric starter, windshield, and speedometer. Originally constructed in traditional manner with steel panels over a wood frame, the Model 30 and 23 became the first ever to offer all-steel automobile body. The brothers in belt and suspenders moved typical of their conservative nature, added rivets to reinforce the reinforcements. Unfortunately, The Dodge brothers died from the Spanish flu, which is really odd, but they both died. It was a shame. But that car, the Dodge, the old Dodge cars were absolutely known for being greatly built cars.
Can you find a picture of it?
Yes, hold on. Yeah, that's the only thing. Like, they don't have a picture in this article.
It's aggravating.
It is kind of aggravating. Here we go. Open a new tab. Here we go. We're going to share this one. Here it is. So this is one of their cars. This is a Dodge. This is a Dodge Brothers car. They had other colors except for black. I have seen a few of these. They're just very well built cars, and they were much more sturdy looking than the Model T. Much more sturdy looking than a Model T. So that's a Dodge. So that's what that looked like. So then we have the Model A. My grandfather had a Model A, and this was like this was successor to the Model T, and he fought this tooth and nail. He did not want a new car. He thought he could keep selling the Model T. And so this is in 1927. The Model T, there was a crossover between the two cars. There was actually a year they made both. And so then it had hydraulic shock, self-adjusting four-wheel mechanical brakes, safety glass windshield. Etzel basically forced his dad to make a new car. So that is that. Where the hell did it go? It moved. All right, so that was the Model A. Then Chevy came out with their 6 in 1931. So this was a big thing because this was an actually more powerful car. It came with a 6, not a 4, and they actually sold a lot of these. They sold 623,000 of these in 31. Think of that for a second. That's a lot of cars. And
in the Great Depression.
Yep. Yeah. And so this is one of their big things. The only problem is that when they came out with this, Ford then came out with their V8 in 1932, the flathead, which was a standard until the 50s. Honestly, the flathead Ford was a standard to the 50s because it was a very reliable engine. It was just not a lot of power. It was reliable as hell. So Henry Ford, once again, didn't want to have anything bigger than a 4-cylinder, but Etzel, once again, forced them to make a V. They developed a V8. Thomas Edison actually had something to do with it. So in 1930, the V8 goes 221 V8, made 65 horsepower. So, I mean, that was a lot more horsepower than the 4s. And it had cooling issues, never solved. The flathead always had those problems. A V8 with mechanical brakes. Yeah, nice, I know. And this is the one that's famous from Bonnie and Clyde. Here we go. Anybody here actually seen a Duesenberg? I have. I saw a room of Duesenbergs at the Imperial Palace. They had the Duesenberg room. And these actually were made in Indiana, I believe. It was not a European car. It's an American car.
Yep. Yeah, they were made in Auburn by the Auburn /Cord/Duesenberg, Auburn, Indiana.
Yep. And these cars were just known for being opulent. They were opulent before, Rolls-Royce or any of these other companies were making opulent cars. That's where the term "that's a doozy" comes from. It comes from the Duesenberg because these cars were psychotically expensive. $8,500 for a chassis, no coach work, a chassis. And this is in the Depression. That is literally more than, oh my God, $25 a week. I mean, that's like 3 times the average salary, 4 times the average salary is how much this car was. This car is extremely expensive, but this car had so many first on it. It had an 8-cylinder, made 265 horsepower. It was one of the first high performance vehicles was the Duesenberg. And so basically they had movie stars, Gary Cooper, Clark Gable, They had supercharged ones that put 320 horsepower out. I mean, this car was absolutely amazing for its time.
That is insane. I mean, heck, somehow in the 80s, we got 90 horsepower cars.
Yes, 320 horsepower in the middle of the Depression. I mean, Ethel Mars bought one. I mean, this amazing. It's amazing all the who's who bought these cars because they were a status symbol. I mean, this is truly the biggest status symbol ever made was the Duesenberg. End of story. Here we go. One of my favorites, the Chrysler Airflow. This was the first aerodynamic car. By far, it was the first car where anybody thought about aerodynamics. They didn't sell a lot of them, but Al Capone's favorite. Yeah, wow. So the Walter P. Chrysler was an American Horatio Alger story, working his way up from farmhand to manager to American Locomotive Works, Pittsburgh factory, then Buick. He ran Buick for Durant, and then he had made $175,000 a year, and then he decided to make his own company. So then he went out and he started his own motor company, I think in 24 or 25.
I think 24.
And then 24. So the Airflow was the first time anybody thought about airflow over a car. That's hence what the name is. As you can see, everything's smooth on it compared to the other cars of the day, like this model, because this is built at the same time. This Model A is at the same time as this Airflow. And this was actually a very modern car in the early 30s. It was too far ahead of its time. That's why it just didn't sell. I mean, it was quieter. It rode better on the highway. It was, whatever you had big main roads, it was really easy. And it was not susceptible to crosswinds like those cars were back then. Very, very far ahead of its time, but it just didn't sell. They sold only 35,000 of them over 4 years. It's just not awesome. Yeah. So then, if you wanted to splurge for $1,300 for this car, it was 60% more than a Chrysler 6 sedan. Yes, large back seats in sedan models, exactly. Looks like a big. Yeah, actually, the Airflow is a pretty big car. If it was the size of a 50s car, I mean, it wasn't as wide, but it was long. They weren't wide at all. Let's see. There you go. The 49 Ford. So here is like the first modern car. The 49 Ford really is the first modern car. So they built over 1 million of these things, and they were $1,300 to $2,200. And Etzel died in 43. So now this was who was the Deuce? I guess the Deuce came in. Henry Ford died in 47. So now the Deuce took over and basically went and decided they needed a new car for post-war because General Motors was still designing stuff that looked like pre-war. And this car was honestly, outside of the split windshield, very modern because the basic body design didn't change for almost 10 years. Right, Fluno?
What's that on the
basic
Ford?
body design on the Fords didn't change till 1958.
No, pretty much. I mean, no, they were actually very, I would say 56, because even like the 55 Lincoln looks like a very early, like this kind of car without a wraparound windshield, etc. So, and what's also neat about this, if I'm correct, this is the first year that they finally got rid of the front leaf spring setup.
Yes.
Where it actually went to independent front axles. That's how long it took them.
Yeah, that's only because the old man finally passed away. But yeah, they had right here, you got rid of the leaf springs in front.
Yeah.
And then they had coil springs in front and normal longitudinal leaf springs in the rear.
And here's something also interesting. This car was actually not designed in-house. It was actually done outside, and that's where a stylist named Bob Walker, who eventually came to Ford, also helped with Lincolns, etc., and his gang, including Elwood Engel and those people. So it's interesting where that's really like a true show car in some ways where it wasn't done in-house. And one last fun fact is my dad actually had a 1950 Ford shoebox. I mean, that's what they were called. And so unfortunately, they're just old cars, Mike, and of course, long gone. But of course, he bought it when it was like 10 years old, which was ancient,
God,
by 1960.
Yeah, that's used up.
But it definitely changed. I mean, that was Ford's true first real modern car, and like you said,
yes. So yeah, the '53 Corvette, which was General Motors knew that. And there's pictures at the top of this one. General Motors knew that the GIs coming back from Europe saw the British little cars, and they realized that that's what a lot of these young single men wanted. So they came out with the '53 Corvette, which was really cool looking, and unfortunately, it had a little inline six in it. It really wasn't a great car. But it did make Ford make the Thunderbird, which Ford went, we're going to throw a V8 in it, and the Thunderbird trounced the Corvette for the first 3 years. It trounced it because it was just it didn't have enough power to compete. Sky Spectre, a weird split front window. Please explain. Well, up until when was it, Fluna? What, the mid '50s? They couldn't make curved glass.
Right.
It was very hard to make safety glass curved, and especially on a mass-produced scale. And it wasn't until, was it Lincoln that came out with the curved glass first? Or was it Chrysler?
So even early, like 50, I think Cadillac might have been the first.
Yeah.
In '49, and of course, it trickles down because even like the backlights were not flush. They had 3 panes in them. I could be wrong, but like the '49 Cadillac, actually, I would say '49 Caddy, Oldsmobile. That's like the higher end cars. Now Chrysler might have done it beforehand, but that's just in my head thinking. But pretty much, I think by '53, the split windshield was done. Because that's when Ford that's the 53. Yeah, 53 was the first Ford, not the shoebox. It was a redesign. So that's when it went to a flush windshield for sure.
Wow. Yeah, because that's what I remember. So I'm guessing this maybe the Studebaker, because Studebaker made a lot of first and all.
They did, but their front window, but even like the cool Starlight Coupe, which the coming or going car, I think that was a split back light, and I still think the front was a split windshield, I believe, because there was no wraparound at that time. And it was like but I really think Cadillac and Oldsmobile, I think '49, we'll just say that in general, was various cars, maybe even Chrysler, maybe '48, rare.
Because it was not a common thing. I think Chrysler may have done it in '34, but it was on like an Imperial, so it was like literally on a low production car. And then Ford went dabbling in rooting. 50 Mercury got a curved rear window. 49 was 3-piece. So yeah. It wasn't commonplace. They had dabbled in it early on, but it was just too damn expensive, and it was time consuming to make a curved window when a flat piece of glass is easy.
Right.
Slap.
And they tried to add style. Like my friend's 41 Plymouth had like we'll call it a beak, to make it more stylish. Mm-hmm. Well, they couldn't curve it, so it's literally 2 planes of flat glass to make it appear like it's so it was very tricky to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was the limitations back then, because we have to always remember they had limitations on their production, because a lot of modern production techniques weren't really they weren't affordable back then. It was just kind of like It was like, showpieces almost.
And one more quick fun fact: the Corvette rolled out actually on my birthday in 1953.
Wow. Yeah. Belated, happy belated birthday. It was
No, that
yesterday.
was fun. No, I'm just saying it's kind of a cool automotive piece there. But yes, it came out yesterday, 70, God, hard to believe it's still around, 73 years ago.
Wow. So the wraparound panoramic was from General Motors on the LeSabre concept car. So that was the wraparound front windshield. General Motors. Go figure. That LeSabre, I think that LeSabre concept car got saved because I remember seeing.
That's still around, I think.
I think that was in the Imperial Palace collection. I think that's where that car was. I think now
Yeah,
the Harris.
it's got the headlight and the grill, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the Harris collection has it now. So here we go. 55, the first Banker's Hot Rod, the 55 Chrysler C300 two-door. Now, it wasn't a 300C, it's a C300. And they did that, the 300, because of the horsepower. It had a 331 Hemi, which was the smaller Hemi. Those Hemis are really weird because they didn't use a modern transmission, almost like a torque tube. It was a really strange transmission setup behind it. And this one had dual 4 barrels, 300 horsepower. And now this is where Carter came and made aluminum 4 barrels, and this is one of the first cars in production to have those aluminum 4 barrels from Carter. 4 barrels were not a thing until the mid-50s. And everybody has to remember that. They were not a thing until the mid-50s. Everything was 2 barrel. And because it's actually kind of complicated, and the timing to make it work, because as soon as you open up more air, you may not have fuel going in there. And the metering it is kind of complicated. And Carter figured that out in the 50s. And this car, and this is a true Hemi. This actually has a really hemispherical head where it comes to a little cathedral point in the middle. And that was done so it could run on any type of fuel. That's why that's there. It could run on any octane because of the Hemi head. It wasn't for power. They just got a lot of power out of it. 4,000 pounds, and it was used in NASCAR. Let's see. Oh, wait. Barracuda. A friend of mine had owned a 50 Mercury for decades. It's been powered by a 318 in torque flight, but he's gone back to the flathead. He's going to miss that 318 when he goes back to that flathead. He really is going to miss that. He's going to miss that 318. The 1955 Chevy. So this is when they came out with their small block, which they used until the 1990s. Same engine. And this was the tiny one. This was what, what was it?
283?
283. Yeah, it was 283. The tiny. And it really wasn't a great V8. I mean, it really wasn't, but it was good, and it was better than the 6s they were putting out. 265 was the first one. The second one was the 283. But yeah, so this design went on for 3 years, 55, 56, 57. 57, the Bel Air is the one everybody knows, with the nice two-tone little, I don't even know what that is, what that's called.
It's aluminum. It's an aluminum piece that goes over it.
A little swish mark. Here we go. We were talking about, and he's not here. Tony Imperial is not here. Here's a 57 DeSoto Adventurer. This was an expensive car. This was right below Chrysler, and this was where Virgil Exner started his whole jet age look here with the big fins and the flowing lines on the front of the car. This actually had they had the torque flight in it, power brakes as standard features. It also had a 345 Hemi, which was the last of the first generation Hemi. No, wait, 345? No, there was one more. Oh God. Yeah, the two-tone is really cool in this car. Virgil loved using two-tone on cars like that. So it was always something to kind of accent his lines because he loved those lines. So yeah, this had 345 horsepower out of a 345 cubic inch engine. and the only standard engine in 57 to make 1 horsepower per cubic inch. So, yeah, and then like 4 years later, DeSoto went away. Etzel. Why is this car was named after Etzel Ford, and it was supposed to be a line above Mercury and below Lincoln, right? Like there, Fluno?
Yes, it was in between the MEL, Mercury, Edsel, Lincoln. And they used that nomenclature for years afterwards, actually. Yes. And they made the Edsel where some were closer to Fords, some were closer to Mercury's. I know the 4 names, but I forgot like the Ranger, the Pacer, the Corsair, and the Citation, I believe. And 2 were closer to Ford, 2 were closer to Mercury. And that was kind of one, besides the recession and the styling, but no one really knew where it was fitting because get a Ford or a Mercury kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a car without a market. And there was nothing wrong with the car. It was just it was really not a.
They did that because they figured, GM has 5 marquees, I believe, at the time. So let's add a new one, and it was like a nationwide. Let's name the new car, and after thousands of entries, they said, you know what? I think Edsel sounds great. Okay. And I actually look, I mean, it's unique. It's definitely strange, front end, whatever. But I think overall, I mean, the dashboard with the spinning speedometer and the teletouch transmission, which never worked properly.
Yep.
Very innovative, but they just really put their eggs in a big basket.
Yep.
And didn't quite work out in the end.
And I was going to bring this up. Chrysler had 5 at that time because they had Plymouth, Dodge, Chrysler, DeSoto, and Imperial. They had 5. They had 5 divisions also. Can-Am. So yeah, and then of course the 64.5 Mustang. What else can we say? They sold a lot of these cars. So that this was the secretary's hot rod, or the secretary car. That's what Lee Iacocca called it.
Right.
Lee Iacocca was just, and this is the famous car that was released at the World's Fair in Flushing, New York, weeks after the Barracuda was launched.
And you know who saw the introduction of the Mustang? True story. Like a good friend of ours says, my dad had Forrest Gump moments without the Forrest Gump. My dad was actually working the Florida Pavilion for Ross Allen Reptile up in New York and actually witnessed the Mustang being introduced.
Wow.
And somehow with all his photographs he loved, I have nothing to show for this.
Nothing.
I know. Nothing.
Yeah. So that's Iacocca's first hit. All right, the Chevy Corvair. The Corvair is actually an interesting car and a car that gets maligned for no friggin' reason. I mean, honestly, this was a car General Motors was releasing to combat Volkswagen because they knew that Volkswagen with their Beetle were going to sell a lot of those cars. They knew they were going to sell a lot of those cars. And so they made this car. And the problem with this car is it had 2 issues. First, there wasn't enough weight on the front end, and the front suspension was janky, to say the least. But the other problem was that it was aerodynamically because it had no weight on the front end. All it needed was a spoiler and a heavy duty front end, which they did fix the front end, I think after the 2nd year, if I remember correctly.
And the rear end was a problem too because the rear wheels would camber in, and they on 63 they did like a half-assed fix, but 65 literally the car was corrected, like you just said, front and back.
Yeah, because it had the swing axle rear suspension, which goes like this. And if you don't know if you've never built it before and they didn't steal Porsche's homework, that the car would camber in on you around the corner, which is kind of dangerous. Yeah. But and the 911s managed it, but 911s didn't really conquer it until the 90s. 80s 911s are freaking terrifying to drive fast. They are terrifying because if you let off the gas in a corner, you're going for a spin. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. You're turning your ass around. You're going to be facing where you came from. 100%. Ask me how I know. Uh, yeah, if you ever drove a VW, I don't know why you drive a VW Bug fast in the corner, but yeah, same problem. Except the Corvair was just higher profile because it was American. So that's Nader's car. And what a shame though, because this was a great car.
It
And
was revolutionary for the American market.
And the problem is that in '69, when they got rid of this car, they had a giant void. They had nothing to fill that void. That's why the Vega got invented. And yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. The Pontiac Le Mans GTO, because the GTO was not its own model in the first year. And this is how DeLorean snuck the car onto the market. Because General Motors had a limit on the size of engines as in your base car, but there was nothing about optional engines. Here it is. So John DeLorean's car. We all know about the GTO. Here we go, the Chevy Vega. And this is what came to replace the Corvair. Good Lord. I did a video on this car. This car is horrible. This car had everything to be great, except General Motors cut too many corners on the car. You know, they actually ship these cars empty, standing up in the train.
Yes.
So they had a single overhead cam cast iron cylinder head, but the problem is that they used they had I think this had aluminum. Did this have the aluminum engine? And it didn't sleeve it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't sleeve it. And it's like, you got so close.
So close, but yet so far. Also, they disintegrated.
Good looking car. It's actually kind of sporty. It's not a bad looking car.
It was copied off their European divisions. And they literally they figured, and actually they were onto something, because if you look at this car, and wait, I'm going to pull this up because you know, I was going to talk. There's another car that actually I feel did absolutely a lot to. Let's see, is this it? No, that's the different car. Do. I gotta look for it. Oh, here it is. This car, the Celica. The Celica almost looked identical to the Vega. I mean, seriously. If you look at the two cars, I mean they're almost identical. The original Celicas, and this is where Toyota did this right and sold a lot of these cars, because they had an indestructible 4-cylinder in it that literally even back then 200,000 miles. Yeah, the Opel Manta. That's literally they stole their own homework for that car. Unfortunately, the Manta was a better car. Yeah, much better made. Yeah. But yeah, so this was the Celica. Toyota was smart. They came out with this car in 73. In 74, they came out with the GT as Ford was getting ready to get rid of the Mustang and make the Mustang 2. They came out with this. It looked like a little Mustang. And they had a 5-speed in it. None of the American cars had 5 speeds, and it had an indestructible 4-cylinder in it. It was made as a driver's car. This car, honestly, as far as putting Asian manufacturers on the map, even more than the Civic, even more than the 240Z, this car sold so well for so long. It literally made it was an absolute. And then they developed the Supra as the upper model that came with a 6-cylinder. I mean, this was absolutely just, you know. But this is how you do your homework right. And General Motors, this is how you do your homework wrong. I mean, the proportions on the cars are almost the same. I can't hear you, Fluno, but it's okay.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just, no, like I said, it's actually a sporty little car. And if they just would have made it, you know, I don't know, and also it rusted, I hear, like by sitting in a mist.
Yeah. It's just horrible. It was just horrible that But this was when General Motors was really beginning to fall apart, because this was like the beginning of the end. The late 60s, early 70s, General Motors was really a train wreck. Yeah.
Well, I mean, even their Cadillacs, I mean, especially the 71 restyle, and I hate to say it, it was hubris of, oh, we're the best.
Yep.
And there we go. I mean, it's a very simplistic answer, but like if you compare a 71 Cadillac to like a 65, it's not even the same thing.
No, I think General Motors had too many decision makers.
Yeah.
And it was just too big to be governed, and it didn't have a strong personality running the company. When Durant ran it, he ran it like a friggin' dictator. But that's the only way to run a giant corporation like that, is like a dictator.
Right.
Because it's my way or the highway. And by the early 70s, General Motors was run by everybody. And it was a train wreck. So here we go. Number 20. And you surprise, the Ford Pinto. Yes, I know the car can explode. Yes, I know the car disintegrated. Yes, I know. 1971 and 1980, they sold 3 million of these things. Even after the explosion thing, they were still selling 500,000 a year because it had one of the best four-cylinders ever made. In fact, Ford still uses this four-cylinder architecture today. This is the same four-cylinder. The base engine is the same that's in the Mustang and the Bronco and the Ranger. This engine from this car. This was absolutely leaps and bounds. The engine in this car was leaps and bounds. And it literally, but the only problem is that they put the gas tank a little too close to the back bumper. Slightly too close. Yes, it was ugly, but you know what? It was cheap. This is a cheap car. It was under $2,000. This is a cheap car. I mean, even a Plymouth Valiant was $2,200. I mean, this thing was cheap. Yeah. Yeah, the Ford advertised how easy the Pinto and Maverick were to DIY driveway mechanic to do maintenance on. Absolutely. These cars were easy to work on, and, they were easy to drive, but they just disintegrated. And, yeah, but that engine ended up in the Super Coupe. That was the first reuse of it when they the Turbo Coupe. When they put this engine in the Turbo Coupe in 84. So, I mean, they turbocharged it. Let's see. Let's see. Well, the problem was they knew they had done that and they didn't fix it. Yeah, but they figured it was better to pay off people that got killed than to actually fix the problem. It's cheaper. It literally was a Ford decision. I believe Lee Iacocca was in on that because this is another Lee Iacocca product. Yeah, so yeah, it was a fun driver, and actually it was the base for the Mustang too. Shelby Cobra. I mean, what hasn't been said about the Shelby Cobra? He took a car that was slower than anything from England, and then he took from AC, and then he went and he put giant engines in them and made them really fast. You can still buy one today. DeLorean. Oh my God, what happened there? So then you have the DeLorean, which, had the weird ass doors on it. Unfortunately, he got screwed and he got caught with cocaine. The Plymouth and Dodge Aries K. This was the first cheap front wheel drive cars from America. Here we are. This is what Lee Iacocca is known for. Yep, rack and pinion steering, ergonomic. Yeah, that was so great about it. And then, yeah, so this was my car for driver's ed. What an absolute piece of junk, but it got 30 plus miles to the gallon, and they were dirt cheap. And of course, finally, the friggin' minivan, which was based on this car, and Ford actually came out with the minivan like a year beforehand, but screwed up the marketing.
Right,
100%. They screwed up the marketing so bad. This was marketed toward moms with the sliding back door and whatnot, and it was really kind of cool. In its own way for moms. And this thing is still running today. Of course, it's the only product Chrysler has right now, but yeah. So that's their list. And then I have a few that I want to go over here because honestly, this is kind of neat. Because there's a couple cars they just didn't add to the list that I don't know how they didn't add them. And I'm going to see if you think about this the same way I do. We'll go back a little bit in time. The this one, this is the 40 Oldsmobile. It was the first car with automatic transmission standard. I mean, it was the first car to have an automatic transmission was the Oldsmobile in 1940, right before the war. And it didn't make that list, which is kind of weird because this actually is paving the way for automatic transmissions. And let's see. And then the let's see. Oh yeah, the 1940 Packard. The 1940 Packard is the first car to have something functioning like air conditioning. It was air conditioning, except it was really, really weird because they had it blow from the back and there was no way to turn it off. It was just on, which is just the problem with it. That's why it didn't catch on until the 50s. But this was basically an R12 system. It ran the lines all the way back. This was your evaporator back here, and it just had a fan and it blew, and it just basically filled the car up with air that way. But there was only recycling the air. It did not bring any fresh air in. So yeah, that was kind of the way it worked. And so that was another car not on this list, which I'm kind of strange. And then this one, even though it's not an American car, the Beetle coming to America absolutely positively changed everything. I mean, look what it did. It made General Motors make the Corvair. And it was literally to fight this rear engine, rear drive, air cooled car that was basically efficient and easy to work on. And that's why the Corvair got made. And I just, it's not an American car, but man, this influenced America so much because it became a counterculture symbol. Like anything Volkswagen became a counterculture symbol in the 60s. So they had the vans and whatnot. And what's 20-cent motor here? They had a 4-door Maverick. Yeah. Then the Aspen. Yes. Yeah. Well, Aspen, for your driver's ed, the Aspen is a lot better car than the Maverick. Because it actually had a great front suspension on it because it had the transverse mounted torsion bars. So it was a little tighter package. The Maverick just wasn't a great car. It was still based on the Falcon. Because that was an Iacocca thing. He just kept reusing that Falcon. Yes, Dennis bringing people across continents. I know. Barracuda is pretty fun. The Virginian. Yeah, I don't think the Virginian's in Virginia, though. Yeah, VW's advertising was counterculture. Yeah. Yes, Luna?
Oh, no, go ahead when you're done. Because he mean the Virginian, like the Kaiser Virginian?
No, he was talking about Virginian, the TV show.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, the advertising for the Bug was totally counterculture. Everything they did was just different because they wanted to get into the market, and they did. And the thing is, though, everything about this car is the opposite of what a lot of American cars were then. You could fix this car. You could take this engine apart in your garage and repair it in one day and put it back in the car without any tools.
Without an executive order.
Yeah. So that was a big thing. So that was a lot about this car was just, yeah. And actually my RA at school, when I went to college, my RA actually took out the Volkswagen engine and brought it up to his dorm room, and we worked on it in his dorm room. We took it apart, rebuilt it, and had the car back on the road the next day. In a dorm room. Isn't that amazing? Those are the days. Oh, so yeah. And then, One of my favorites, I'm going to move this and then go here. One of my favorites, because this car, honestly, I will. Wait. Oh, I forgot this one. Damn it. So this one. I don't know why this isn't on that list. The Roadrunner. The Roadrunner was the first mass marketed car to young people. Even the GTO was not aimed so hard at younger people, because they actually used a cartoon character, the Roadrunner, and they just put it on their cheapest car, the Satellite, gave it a 383, gave you a friggin' rubber flooring, and said it was go fast. And the first year, the Roadrunners were black and white, and there's only 2 of them on the car. That was it. So, I mean, this I don't know. This was not on that list, which I don't understand, because this car also gave us this marketing. Plymouth ended up giving us the most psychedelic marketing ever. This is for the 69. This is literally the psychedelic marketing that they had for the Roadrunner and all their cars. But I mean, this was like, and then the Acceleratus, Rapidus, Maximus. They literally lean so hard into the culture of the time for younger people. And this was literally the first car that truly was aimed, I mean, with marketing, because yes, the Mustang was priced that way, but it wasn't marketed like this. This is marketed straight at them. Yes, Chrysler was heavy into the go-go generation. Yeah, they were. Even with Dodge, they had the go ahead, Felino.
Isn't it amazing though that the same company that focused on enough headroom for your hat for the older generation is doing this marketing for the younger generation?
Yeah. Well, Plymouth knew that they couldn't survive without getting younger buyers, because they literally realized that I did a video on, yeah, they actually were getting older. I mean, their buyers were getting old, and they realized they needed to do something. And so the Barracuda was the first step, and that was not very good. But then they went and when they decided it with the Roadrunner, they absolutely had a hit on their hands. And they aimed right at the younger generation, and that's who was buying this car. Because somebody that worked at McDonald's could own this car, brand new. It was only $2,300, and I mean, it's $2,300, and it was like a $90 a month nut on this car. That's all it was. $90 a month a nut on this car. That's it. But this car didn't make that list, which really boggles my mind, because I don't even understand how it didn't make the list, because the Roadrunner, absolutely. And but then this car, I don't understand how it didn't make the list. The 69 Charger Daytona. The 69 Charger Daytona was basically the start of modern aerodynamic racing. 100%. This was what Chrysler absolutely just said, screw it. We're going to absolutely just we're going to throw all the balls to the wall at this point, because we need to make the Hemi win, because this is still when you won on Sunday, you sell on Monday, and this is how you do it. And honestly, this car was so revolutionary at the time that it was hard for them to sell. I mean, they were marking these things down. They only sold 503 of them, but that was a hard sell, because you had to make them for NASCAR. But honestly, it actually has real downforce in the front and real downforce in the back. This car is absolutely just one of the most amazing things ever. And it was all to do aerodynamic for racing, which, nobody had really thought about to this level at that point. So this was an absolutely revolutionary car. And of course, and the last one, which because I don't want to get, wait, what is this one here? Oh, yeah, this one comes first. There's 2 more. This one, the BMW 3 Series. The BMW 3 Series in '83 changed everything. That became the personal luxury car, and it became the sports car. It literally changed the entire way marketing was done at the mid-level for cars, because before this there was no such thing as a performance, like a, how can I put it, like a semi-luxury performance sedan that
Sports
was,
sedan.
yeah, sports sedan that was decent on gas but fun to drive. And this car was, honestly, this is the best-selling BMW ever. On the E30 is the best-selling BMW. I have one. It is literally the best-selling BMW ever. They sold millions of these cars because they were perfectly sized, perfectly balanced, easy to repair, but incredibly fun to drive. And it just changed everything. Because remember, this is 1983 when this comes out, and nothing in America was built like this. And nothing from Japan was really built like this. This car was really on the cutting edge for something that wasn't super duper expensive. And it was honestly, it is, and now it's a truly a cultural car. I have 2002, 1970 twice. I got tired of having to fix it for a guy I sold it to. The thing with the 2002 and why this car is so much better than the 2002 or the E21 is that it is modern, but it isn't. You still have that feeling of the road, but it has air conditioning. 2002s don't have air. It has a 5-speed. It has, anti-lock brakes on it. It had modern fuel injection. A lot of things on this car. These cars had fuel injection in the early 80s, and reliable Bosch fuel injection. Well, usually the fuel injection doesn't go bad on these cars. So I mean, that's why this is like a whole. This is why I think, especially in America, this car defined the 80s. This was the yuppie mobile. This is what young people wanted, this car over Mustangs or anything. Like, they wanted this car. And this is why this is the car I fell in love with BMWs. My uncle's friend bought one. He had a 318i that was absolutely just jacked when he bought it. Full Bilstein on it, stereo system that made my head hurt. But my God, that car was the fastest thing around corners I've ever been in. It was literally a go-kart. Funnest thing I've ever been in. And I had to have one, so that's why I ended up buying one. Here we go. Barry Kuda 3769. Speaking of Superbirds and Daytonas, I watched Graham Benzinger's latest interview the other day of Richard Petty. Ooh, wow. It's hard to get Richard on an interview now. It is so hard. It is so hard to get him on an interview. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, Petty basically made them make the Superbird because he was at Ford. He left when they came out with Daytona. He went to Ford. He's like, I'm not going to race for you guys unless I got one of those. And they wouldn't let him race for Dodge. So then he went to Ford and actually kicked their ass at Ford. And then they built the Superbird for him. And then the Superbird, they made a mistake, though. They left the Roadrunner's bubbly back window, and it actually was less aerodynamic than the Charger Daytona. So there's that. And one final car, and I think we all know this final car, and it's not exciting, it's not new, but this is a car even more than the other car that came a little before it, but this was the car that literally changed everything for the last 30, actually now 40 years. If I could just find the picture. I'm a little slow today. Here it is. That's not it. I love that. Oh, here it is. This is it. I mean, remove you, add you. The Ford Taurus, 1986. The Ford Taurus, it changed American sedans forever. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it changed the sedans forever. It literally became the first aerodynamic sedan. Aerodynamic cars were usually just for sports cars like the Thunderbird in 83. This was the everyday person, slick, quiet sedan that actually flowed through the air. And this car changed everything, and it was the best-selling car in America for over 10 years. I mean, honestly, it was absolutely truly amazing, and it when it came out, because I remember when it came out, my grandfather was working at a Ford dealership when this car came out, and when it was just like, oh, you never seen anything like it. You saw the Thunderbird. The Thunderbirds were already, but that was a coupe, so you were kind of used to coupes being kind of slick. But this was a sedan, and you rode in it, and it had no wind noise. There was no wind noise in this car. 60 miles an hour is completely quiet because the door is sealed up into the roof. It was really, and my birthday is in Taurus, still not good looking. It's not about being great looking. It's about, actually, back then, this was actually a slick looking car, and they sold a lot of them. And it wasn't that expensive, and it had a 3.8. What it had, the 3.8 what?
6. V6,
Yeah,
about 135 horsepower.
Which 3.8 was that? Was that the Cologne? Was that the Cologne 3.8?
Well, I only know the Cologne of the 4-liter. I don't know if they had
Cologne
other
4-liter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what my first Mustang had.
Yeah, it was a great engine.
Honestly, I mean, when you look at it now, I mean, it was really, I mean, heck, it was used in RoboCop. I mean, it was futuristic. In fact, when you think about it, it's basically, it took the airflow 50 years to do this. I mean, basically, that's kind of what it is in a way.
Yeah.
They finally, I mean, I'm being kind of funny, but we finally bought into aerodynamics to a real level.
Yeah, exactly. And I see 20 Cent Motor bringing up the 84 Audi. The thing is, the Audi was an extremely expensive car. This was an everybody car. Anybody could buy this car. It wasn't that expensive.
And it wasn't just the aerodynamics. I mean, the interior was not your typical, I hate to say it, American blocky. It was dials now. It was very European and modern thinking. I mean, Ford reinvented. I mean, think about it. Look at an 85 LTD. That thing is like wretched. And it
absolutely
looks ancient. So 1 year later, you have this now on the showroom. And a lot of cars followed suit. I mean, the Cougar had the doors going up, and actually Preston Tucker did that first on his car. He wanted it like an airplane, so you didn't hit your head. You opened up the part of the roof with the door frame. They don't even do that now when you think about it.
No, they don't.
Was really no.
I mean, the doors, they're now back to the traditional with the whole what's that called, with the sill and everything. That whole styling went away, and it actually made a quieter car. Let's see. I'm going to pull up the what you just mentioned, the LTD2, to show you how absolutely different car from 1 year, because this is the same class of car. This is literally the same class of car. This was the replacement for this car. All right, and we remove this, and we're gonna go back to this,
and look at all that glass on there too. Very airy.
Right. So this was the car the year before that the Taurus replaced. I mean, it's not even a competition. Look at this thing. This is basically a glorified Fairmont, which is a glorified Falcon. It's the same car underneath. It is a 1967 Falcon underneath there. Literally, there's nothing. There's nothing about these cars. My grandfather had one of these. I mean, it was
my uncle had one, baby blue.
Oh, yeah, baby blue is a thing. But I mean, these were good cars, but they were not like the Taurus. The Taurus was just better. It was just a better car because you went from this, you went to this with the whole slickness and smoothness, and it just looked modern. Because most of the cars looked like this in the mid 80s. General Motors, their entire lineup looked like this. They all looked the same. They were square boxes. No, actually, no. They still had. They went to. They had rack and pinion in these cars. They were rack and pinion cars. On these were rack, yeah, because just like the Mustang. Because remember, Ford basically brought rack and pinion to the masses with the Mustang too. That was, I mean, that was the one thing that car had, and they used on everything afterwards because they got such great feedback. They kept putting it on cars. Like those Mustangs had rack and pinion. Rack and pinion was just the Ford thing. General Motors, General Motors had it because they went front wheel drive in a lot of their cars. So you had to go rack and pinion. But on the big cars, they were still using recirculating ball. For if I remember correctly, like even in the mid '80s, they were still using recirculating ball. Yeah, the Fox body is just basically still. It was still an evolution of that late '60s design. They really it was still the same kind of underpinnings of that car. Ford really got a lot of mileage out of that whole thing because like the Granada, all those cars, they still had a little bit of that little DNA in there. They did improve it for the Fox body. Fox body was just so much better and used for everything. Yep, the modified McPherson strut. That was the big thing on a Fox body was the front suspension because they went to McPherson strut from Springs. Yeah.
And what's interesting is that the Mustang 79 and the Mustang 2 obviously was killed off. They really didn't know if it was going to be considered. They made the Fox body platform, but that's where like the 79 Mustang doesn't really look like the Mustang we think of, even from the Mustang 2 with the side scoop and the three taillights. They really were kind of almost pushing a Euro, like different. I don't know how to explain it properly, but
hold on, I'll
really
pull it
was
up.
a break. It was a break from Mustang thinking. I mean, a hatchback, economy as well with that 4-cylinder. They wanted to keep the name alive, but not have it. They really kind of reinvented the Mustang with that.
They did. I'll show you. I'll show everybody what it. This is the Mustang Cobra from 1979. But this was,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this car sold like hotcakes. I mean, this Mustang was absolutely on fire because it was what everybody wanted. It was actually interesting looking. It was smaller. It had the hatchback. At the time, I mean, it was just different because at this point, like the big sellers were like Hondas and Toyotas. Like that Celica was still being made, and
Right.
this competed directly with it in size. I mean, literally in size. And this was an absolutely incredible idea they came up with bringing this car out. This was absolute genius bringing this car out. It caught everybody by surprise. It caught General Motors by surprise. It couldn't catch Chrysler by surprise because they were going bankrupt. But General Motors, they were caught with their Camaro that was horrible. That late 70s Camaro was horrible. Everything about it was terrible. And then this thing comes out and like, oh. And this was the car that brought back the muscle car. Because by 84, it had a 302 with roller drivetrain. So the had roller camshaft. It had high compression. It made 225 net horsepower, which was actually 210, then 225 in 85. With carburetor, last carbureted one was 85. Then he went EFI. And honestly, that were the first couple of years of the interior panels were very German Mercury. Yeah, because they were building the same car in Europe, and they called it they brought it here and brought it to Mercure, but they were selling the Fox body over there because it was a good size for Europe. Ford was very smart about international marketing. Unlike Chrysler, they actually had a good European division, still do actually. It was like the Mustang 2 grew up to match the Camaro, while the Camaro receded. Yeah. The inside, those late 70s Camaros were probably the worst things ever made. I honest to God, I they're just nothing. There's nothing great about them. I don't even like the way they look. Is kind of hideous.
They basically kept tweaking a 1970 badly. That's really what it is. A 7970, basically. Same exact car, just obviously with emissions and plastic and bad touch-ups.
So yeah, here's a 79 Camaro. I mean, it literally is a 1971 Camaro. And it just had plastic everywhere. The interior was probably one of the worst things I've ever seen in a car, outside of the new X5, which we don't have time to go over tonight because it's that bad. It's really bad. But this car was just blah. And then they came out and then they made the 82. They came out with the new Camaro.
Yes.
And this is too bad Autobot Al's not here. He needs to watch to the end because he had one of these. He had one of these, as we used to say, Italian retards out cruising.
IROC,
yeah. Where is that picture? Oh, here it is. What the hell? This is blown up the hell. Oh, here we go. Reset. There we go. Here's the early 80s, and it still had the same late 70s interior though.
Yes.
And still no power. They couldn't put power in this car till the mid 80s. It was just a pig. Just an absolute
and fun fact, Dan's sister, our friend Dan's sister, I remember riding around in it. She had a 79 Camaro brown, and Dan actually had an 81 Trans Am 4.9 turbo from his dad, which was the last body style.
Yeah.
The same thing as before the 82 restyle, complete restyle.
And that turbo was such a letdown. I mean, it was 6.6 liters of nothing. 400 turbo car, and it was horrible.
No. 6.6 was naturally aspirated. The 4.9 was the turbo.
4.9. I always thought
no, 6.6 was the good one. No, that was the good engine. They were trying to.
See how much I don't know about them?
Well, they were trying to. It's a great idea, but again, GM engineered it half-ass, and basically it was never meant to be. And I watched actually a whole video on it. It's leaving my head right now, but it just had problems from the start. Like it was just retrofitted, kind of like not like the diesel 350, but in the same fashion where let's just slap it together, and I'm sure it's going to be just fine. No,
yeah. So that's the car that everybody knows with the stupid chicken on the hood.
Yes, the screaming chicken.
The screaming chicken,
buddy. There you go.
Literally, it's a screaming chicken. Let's see. Let's pull up a Trans Am.
But now they look cool as hell. The 81 with the split headlights, it does look kind of. It's the Bandit car. Technically, he had a 6.6, 78, I think.
No, he had a 455. They actually used the year before engines because the 6.6 couldn't spin the tires. So that's a fun fact about that movie. That car that car had no power in its natural form, so they used the 455 Super Duty from the year before to make it actually run, because otherwise the movie would have been really boring.
Wow.
Yeah, so that let's see. I'm gonna here we go. Here's the greatest example of a flaming chicken, because we have to show flaming chickens. Let's see. There we go. Here we go. There's the flaming chicken.
And I gotta be honest, that gold flake with I think that might be the gold flake with black in it, is actually very 81 and very cool.
It's a great color, but this car is this is 79. This is an absolute pig. I mean, this thing is a pig. It actually, what?
It's a hunk. It's a hunk of balls.
This thing actually, the Little Red Express truck actually was much faster than this thing. The pickup truck. In 1979, a pickup truck was the fastest thing in America.
And the build quality, top notch.
Oh, and this car, absolutely. Yeah. So there's the flaming chicken car. Yeah. And they sold a lot of these cars too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sadly. Uh,
May I add a few to the list when you're all done?
sure, sure. Hold on. Let's let me
Yeah,
pull.
whenever you're done. No, whenever you're done.
Let me clear this up. All right, I got a lot of tabs open, and one of them's playing music, and yeah. All right, what do you got there?
So there's so many that we could actually technically like for nuance of little things here. But that's great that you brought up the Packard and the air conditioning. That really is, and the Oldsmobile automatic. That's before the war. Um, you could technically say like the 36 Cord with the first concealed headlamps, first horn ring, things of that nature. But I would say, from bottom to top, 79 Cadillac Seville. Now you might be thinking, okay, Flino, what's up with that? And yes, it was.
Oh, I
built in
remember
the
that. I
Noble
remember
chassis.
that car when it came
Well,
out.
let me tell you, that was the smallest Cadillac at the time and the most expensive. And again, for General Motors to say, let's make a smaller luxury car, and they did a lot with that Nova platform. That car sold like hotcakes, and it did slowly change the mindset of not everything bigger is better for American luxury. Okay. And it was actually quite pricey. I think it was like 18 grand starting
Yep.
in like
Yep.
76, not 79, 76
Oh.
Seville. But
Oh,
that's the
this
first.
is
Same thing. Same thing.
all right. Every Guido, where I grew up had one of those Sevilles. Every Guido had one of those Sevilles. Absolutely, that was a
Yeah.
Guido machine. I don't know. I don't understand why, but the young cuisines loved having their their small Cadillac. And let me
Well,
find a good
and
picture.
it had a different like aura versus the massive Fleetwoods, etc. So it did make, in my opinion, a small change. And then you brought the BMW, not the same boat, obviously, but it made Americans start rethinking what luxury actually is. Okay.
Yes.
And then from there, GM, they call it the sheer look. Then sadly, for the next like 15 years, it seems every GM car looked like that, but
Yes.
whatever, like my Impala had the same look, but it is what it is. Moving down the list, I would say the 53 Studebaker Lowry Coupe. Absolutely
Huh?
European, un-American looking, low, free of chrome. Unfortunately, build quality killed the car, and they assumed that more people would buy the sedan version versus the coupe, but it wasn't like that. And unfortunately, didn't save Studebaker in the end, but radical design for an American car in 1953. Absolutely clean and European, basically. And that's what Lowry was trying to introduce. Like, hey, there's a big world out there.
Here
and
it
again,
is.
people coming back from World War II saw the British, the French, even German, very just completely a new look. And it kind of caught on. I mean, it was a great car, but it took years for us to start really realizing that we can have low slung cars and air. That car was also tested in the wind tunnel as well.
Yes.
Going from there, I would say the 58 Thunderbird, because, and they didn't mention the small bird,
square bird, yeah.
the square bird. The square bird introduced America to the personal luxury car. And that car sold like hotcakes, unlike that video I sent you where they said it was a failure, which that's what AI does to us now. The square bird in the recession still sold really, really well, unlike its buddy, the Edsel. And it revolutionized, the Riviera, eventually the Cordoba, obviously. You had the Grand Prix. All those cars came, the Mark III, all those cars came from this right here. Okay.
Yep.
And then I would say, and of course I'll be halfway prejudiced here, but honestly, the fact that I didn't mention the 61 Continental is beyond me.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Revolutionary of styling, again, size of luxury, the quality control on that car was something, and they only offered it in two styles, the convertible and the four-door, very Volkswagen like too, where they didn't change the body style year to year. They had very simplistic ads saying, don't worry, in 10 years you can repaint it, it'll still look great. And Ford, after their 58 to 60, the box Oracle with the Pagoda designs literally reinvented, and that car was supposed to be a Thunderbird. But I don't think it was, no, it wasn't Lee Iacocca. It was, I think, might have been the Deuce who said, give it 4 doors and make it a Lincoln. But very small, technically, for luxury cars at the time. Like I said, the quality control, they would run it for like 500 miles, break down the engine, check things out. It was the first car in America to have a solid bumper-to-bumper 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. And again, it even made Cadillac for 65 redesign their cars in some ways, because this was a departure from the American 50s era of excess.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And so those would be.
This is Englewood, right?
And yeah, absolutely. Yep. And why does the 64 Chrysler look very similar moving forward? Because of him at Ford here. But it truly did change. And even a 70s Lincoln had some, even like a 94, still kind of has, town car has that look. Yeah. And those are my big ones I was thinking of in the head. I mean, I could say, sure, though, the Rocket 88 overhead valve engine, some people claim that might have been the first quasi hot rod. I mean, but it was put in songs like the Oldsmobile from 1904. We could get really granular, but those are ones that I would think.
Yeah. Well, these made a massive impact, and that's what I was trying to find also, is other cars that made a very big impact, because it was later on. Like this car, the design language on this car lasted, Christ, 20 years? Easily. Yeah. Over 20 years. I mean, it didn't go away. It became the modern style. And considering what Chrysler was making in 61, because I am working on one of those cars. That thing has curves and slants and fins and things everywhere, and this car is just simple. It's just simple. Everything about it is simple. It's a simple design. Bauhaus, very revolutionary for the time. Almost bland in some restricted elegance, whatever term we want to use. It completely dominated that 60, and I believe it was our friend in New Zealand who brought up the 64 Lincoln, which was the first major restyle where they made it 3 inches longer because they realized, well, and let me tell you, Dan had a 62. That back seat, my Kona has more back seat room than the Lincoln did. My car is actually even bigger than this. They started getting bigger and bigger, obviously, again, but for the time, absolutely, much like the Taurus, Ford completely revolutionized what people thought of luxury, especially for 61. Yeah, exactly. And I think the back seat was small because they prioritized that trunk, because the trunk's enormous in that car. The trunk, okay, so the overall dimensions in this car, and that was the biggest complaints, the trunk size, the back seat room. Yep. I mean, by today's standard, you're comfy, okay? But it was I believe a 200, I could be wrong here, I think it was a 123 inch wheelbase, and then it went to 126 like mine is. The overall length of this car was 212 inches. Mine's 220. I'm not trying to be Rain Man here, but it did grow. But overall, for a 220, the ad you just show sounds terrible, but it would show women parallel parking, like, oh, she can do it too. And it sounds terrible today to say, but I mean, and it came loaded. It came standard without, air conditioning, obviously optional, but it was unlike a Cadillac where you could build it up from a lesser model to a higher model. They said, look, these are our two designs, but they did bring out the coupe in 66 because they realized they were losing sales to the Coupe de Ville, obviously. So, well, the funny thing is with women, that's what Chrysler based their power steering on. That's why Chrysler power steering is so terrible, loosey-goosey. It's based for a woman to drive a car, and it's so bad. It was fine in the late 50s when the cars were really heavy and a little sluggish, but by my year, the early 70s, oh my God, it literally is it's literally the worst non-feedback you can get. Oh, it is, yes. It is. It's
Oh,
true. It's
my Impala. We talked about that, about how like you have it with a cigarette, you could spin that thing around. Absolutely terrible.
yeah. So power. They always had too much. They had too much power
Boost.
steering. Way too much boost. Way too much boost, and then and sloppy, because there's no quality control.
No,
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 none at
no,
all.
no.
And one last thing. So I have a lawnmower now, and I wanted to order some spark plugs, and so I thought I ordered Champion spark plugs because that's what you put in a lawnmower, right? And so I went on Amazon. This box comes, and I'm like, this is a weird looking thing of Champions. What's going
Oh
on here with
no.
this? Can you tell me? And then I looked at these things. Let me see if I can get it. So I gotta get the focus.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, there we go. So it has a weird number on it, BK5E, which is CU, and it's made by Hippo. And I'm
In
like,
China.
in China,
Oh, I'm sure.
and I'm like, and it's the same price, and I'm like, why? I won't even put this in my lawnmower. I mean, this is literally, you got to be kidding me. Same price, and I'm like, people don't let people put Chinese spark plugs in anything. Lawnmowers,
No.
weed whackers. Don't put a Chinese spark plug in
No.
anything. I wish I had a spark plug tester because I'd probably show you that there's probably the spark doesn't even fly on them. 20-cent motor, has a 63 Plymouth. You can blow on the wheel and steer it. Yeah.
Right.
Boy, that was an ugly car too. No, Sky Spectre. I bought a used one because I'm cheap. And the plug is of unknown origin. It may be the original plug, and this is a 2017 lawnmower. I'm assuming it's original, and the way it's running, I'm thinking the plug is pretty done. Plus, I tried to pull the rubber boot off, and it wasn't really coming off easy. That's how I know it's been on there for a really long time. So we're gonna be putting new ones in because this is no. I need to mow my lawn. Yeah, you gotta be. Actually, you better double check when you order spark plugs from Amazon to make sure they're real. Like I got NGKs, but I verified that they were real NGKs because they actually sell fake ones. They made another video was done where they did a they did a test 80 and 20% of them were fake. 20%. 20-cent motor. Did I miss a 300 update? I didn't talk about that. Oh, so last week I basically built the front brakes, like all the brake lines, because the kit from SSBC, the worst aftermarket brake company ever made, they didn't include the right lines for the car because that car has a distribution block in front of the motor, and they gave me a line this long, and I'm like, it's 3 feet to the distribution block. So I had to go to the parts store. I had to cut the ends off these lines I bought at the parts store because you can't buy the fittings. I mean, they don't exist. And I had to flare my own lines and painstakingly bend them. I have it on camera. I actually have video, and it's going to be part of the whole series on this car. That literally I had to put about the front one. For the front brakes, I had to put 16 bends in it. For the back ones, I had to put 18 bends over 3 feet by hand. I had my bender. I had to literally go there and bend everything. It was ridiculous. Absolutely, just utterly ridiculous. We spent basically half the day making brake lines because there's no quick way to do this because you want to make sure that they actually work and make sure you don't kink them and make sure they're bent the right way and that they're not interfering with anything. And also the damn cross ram is in the way of everything. I had to go around the cross ram and down the inner fender and then come around and curl into this thing. It was when you see the video, you're gonna absolutely admire my patience because this was over 4 hours. Seriously, half my day was there bending pipe. And now, hopefully, tomorrow we're gonna bleed it and flush all that crap out of there, and hopefully it'll help brakes. He's the owner's so optimistic. He thinks we're gonna go for a test drive tomorrow. I said, I love how optimistic you are. I wouldn't be betting on that, but sure, whatever. Because everything has to go right for that to happen. And so far, this car has proven that nothing can go right with it because it's evil. My daughter wants me to bring holy water and a and and a rosary over to the car. I might need a young priest and an old priest to come with me. Yeah, so that's the 300 update. I'm gonna have a whole series on that car. I'm gonna have all the videos. I'm gonna put them at once. Me talking to the owner, and then all the friggin' work I did on this car to make it actually run and be safe, because it was not safe when I started on this car. It was not safe at all. And especially when the brake line blew up while we were in the garage trying to move the car. That was fun. Nothing like having a 5,000-pound car coming at you with no brakes. No, Sky Spectre, he has air conditioning in his garage. I work civil. I don't work outside in this. I don't work outside in the heat. Absolutely not. That's not what I have air conditioning in my garage. Today it was 78 degrees in my garage. It was 94 outside. I was very happy. It's the only way I can do work now. Yeah, you need brakes. That car is gigantic. Plus, the transmission was rebuilt poorly, and it doesn't shift into gear quick. So the car started moving, and he had 60. How old is he? He's old. 64-year-old reflexes, and yeah, and the transmission being slow. Yeah, I thought I was gonna die. I really did think I was gonna die. Barracuda. It's like my early 71 Australian Valiant. Oh, yeah, those are cool. It had vent windows, but later on the same car, they were deleted, apparently because of leaking water, but I never found that to be an issue. Oh, yeah, well, Chrysler could never figure out how to solve the issue, so they just got rid of it. Yeah, 2071. We were going through a hideaway wipers with no vent window look. It was a thing. Yeah, my Charger, the 71 Charger, is the total change from Chrysler's whole styling. Because up through 1970, everything had a vent window. Everything had a vent window on Chrysler. And first they got rid of it with the fuselage C bodies, and then the A bodies got rid of it in 70, I think, because the Duster did not have it. The Plymouth Duster and the Dart didn't have 71. They didn't have it either. That was literally just they got rid of all the vent windows. Ford hung on to them for a while because it's Ford. By the way, that 71 Charger gets better looking every time I see it. I'm glad to see it. I have a 72. Not this. That's split here. It's 70. The difference is just the cornering lights and the grills and the headlights. Everything else is the same. Yeah, I'm sorry. I live in Florida. I work in air conditioning. It's not that expensive to have it. Trust me, I have air conditioning. I can't. Do you think I could actually work out there? Go ahead.
And we have the holy grail of friends in case of problems.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see what. Yeah, I think Chevy was the first to lose vent windows because they went on that whole styling thing in the mid 60s.
Like the Camaro lost them in 68. Well, think about it. The Tornado Guidos doesn't even have them at all. That's 66.
Yeah. I mean, literally, General Motors was really getting away from it because I first of all, it's easy to steal a car with vent windows because they're easy to break into. And second of all, it adds more complexity because now you have another gasket and you have another mechanism. So it was just easier for mass production not to have them. And it just took Chrysler forever. It was just really, really bad. But the thing is, they're great when you don't have air.
Right. Well, more cars are getting air conditioning as well. So that's like a third thing down, but that's what supposedly, but you're right, to the theft aspect, that was the main one, I think.
Yeah.
My friend's dad had a 95 F-150 right before a couple years before the restyle. It had vent windows in a 95 F-150.
Yep.
Awesome.
Ford was really slow at getting rid of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really slow. But the thing is, on a Chrysler, it was very bad because let's say you had a 1967 Coronet. I could literally go into that car, pop that thing, open up the door, get inside, pop the hood, or actually pop the hood from the outside because the outside release. I can then do a jumper to the coil, to the positive coil, and then hit the relay, and the car would run. It had no lock. It had no steering wheel lock. And literally a Chrysler, you could steal a Chrysler in under a minute. Literally in under a minute, you could steal a Chrysler. It was not very hard because everything was, unlike General Motors and Ford, their relay was up on the inner fender. It was sitting right there.
Yeah, you could steal, mine has the inside hood release, but like a Thunderbird did not have an inside hood release. You could pop the hood and you could use a screwdriver, and you got the relay sitting right up there. You could jump the car right from it. That's why my buddy, when he would park it in certain places, he took the coil wire with him anywhere.
Yeah, all you had to do is you could put the jumper to the coil, and
that's right.
You're rocking and rolling. The car is drivable at that point, especially you don't have a steering lock.
Right now.
Yeah. So I mean, it was way too easy. So that was another reason. It was just for the crime thing. It was too easy to break into those. I mean,
but they are wonderful. Like, my Lincoln's never had the air running, and we won't get into that. But you open those vents, it is amazing how comfortable in nicer weather. It really does work well.
Yeah, and it was a lot. But let's see. I experienced 60s, 70s Chrysler power steering on a 70 Coronet. It was ridiculously light. Yeah, it was made. It was marketed toward women. Manual steering, no. Oh my God, you must be a bruiser. Manual steering, holy Christ. No. And manual brakes. Manual brakes, I'm not that bad. I don't have a problem with. Manual steering, yeah. Especially you have to maneuver a car. Anything with a big engine in it, you don't want that. If you have a 440 with manual steering, that's 700 pounds sitting on top of it. No, you're not moving those wheels when you're sitting still. You're just not. You're just not. So yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I think we've covered it all. We've covered a lot, actually.
That was a lot of great positive things tonight.
Positive things tonight.
Even with First Brands, we got some silver linings. Kind of.
Exactly. Hey, look at this. A 67 Galaxy with manual steering and 3 on the tree. Jesus, that's hard car to drive.
Oh, that's
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of hand action. No kidding. I mean, you're like Jackie Chan. I mean, those hands are flying in that car. Holy crap. And how do you shift and go around the corner? I mean, I love this dabbling in Rudy. We laughed a lot. We learned a lot. All right. So Fluno, anything real quick?
I just want to wish everybody, even to our friends on America's Hat, happy 4th of July. Happy 250 for all of us Yanks here in the States. And to those around the world, like in New Zealand, thanks again for joining us this evening. And thank you all for sharing this time with us. Had a really fun evening. Really nice with our beautiful wildlife and not too humid out here. So
Good
that's it for me.
Yeah, and actually today is the anniversary, the 80th anniversary of Italy becoming a republic. Actually, this is the day they actually incorporated as a republic.
Wow.
Today. Only 80 years ago.
But
yeah.
they change them every few here and there, and we don't really, it's
yeah. So yeah, the other thing, I have my video out now about finding parts, and this goes for everybody with a car that's more than 15 years old. You got to start planning. You have to plan ahead, and so I have my Merit video coming out this 4th of July on Saturday. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel, because we got lots of things coming up. We're gonna have stuff on that 300 soon. I'm just compiling it, and then I got to edit it, and I'm gonna hate that more than anything else. But I wanted to make it a series, because just releasing a one video wasn't enough. With all the work, I think an actual series would make it a lot more useful, and that's why I'm coming hopefully to the end. Please, dear God, this car's killing me. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we're going to be covering on DJ's Classic Garage, and we'll be here next week. God knows covering what. And yes, and everybody out there, definitely, if you're in America, have a safe. Don't do anything stupid. Don't say "hold my beer" 4th of July.
Keep your fingers. Have fun. Keep your fingers.
Keep all 10. The other thing, be nice to other people. I mean, it's the 4th of July. Be nice. That's all I ask. Just be nice. Be civil. This is the anniversary of our country. This is an experiment that's been going on for 250 years. Be civil so we can make it go on again for another 250. That's all I ask. And yeah. So as we all say, if you have something cool or something fun, take it out, because it'll make someone's day. It'll probably be your own. And we will see you next week, and I will see you really soon. Bye for now. If you liked what you saw, like, subscribe. If you didn't, thank you for watching to this point. And as always, if you have a cool car or something fun to drive, take it out. You'll make someone's day, probably your own.